Hello and welcome back to my studio. Today I'm going to be showing you how I deal with a situation where the painting is just not working. Do I abandon it or do I push on and try and solve the problem? I hope you stick around and watch this video and you'll get some tips on how to deal with a painting that is just not working. Now I'm sure we've all had this experience. You find you get to that ugly middle stage of the painting and you realize this thing is just not working. What do? Well, sometimes you simply have to get the painting knife and scrape off maybe the whole thing or the part that's not working. But you've got to figure out what to do and then try and solve that problem. Now in this video I started the painting and I thought it was going to be pretty good, but then I got to that middle stage and I found I was stuck. The painting was looking very unappealing. You'll see exactly what I mean. Let me lead you through this painting, show you how things got stuck and how I got through that, and then with a result that was acceptable.
Now this is the reference I chose, and this is mistake number one. I always believe that if you get the composition correct, you'll have a good chance with a painting. Now I picked this reference because I thought there would be a good composition with the eye leading down the road. We've got this nice oak tree here getting a lot of light on it, bit of mountain colors in the background just fading away into the distance, and we've got some diagonals here with the light poles and some overlapping shapes of light and dark. So there's something we could do with this. But unfortunately, the composition or the reference itself is already showing problems. The first question is exactly what is behind you. There's a lot of odd shapes and tree trunks, poles, buildings, all sorts of bits and pieces, but there's no real light. In other words, it's pretty much closed off. The view goes this way and then stops. Right, so that's problem number one. The other problem is the wall of trees. It's not so much an avenue of trees with a nice transition of space from foreground to middle ground into the distance. It's pretty much a solid wall of trees, and this is actually now blocking the view. So you're going in part of the way in the foreground and getting blocked. Then I've got to find some light and some space. We've got some light showing up here. We need to get that in and try to show this tree off to good effect. But there's a lot of foreground shapes here overlapping the tree trunk of this beautiful oak tree, and none of this here is really helping. So plenty of problems. As I said, mistake number one, picking the wrong subject. Rather pick something that is really great, right? That is a really beautiful subject from the very beginning, instead of trying to struggle through something that is at best 50-50. Despite these misgivings, I'm going to press on and hopefully illustrate a few typical mistakes that we sometimes make and how to fix them. Now immediately I've made an observation error here by making this tree much too big, and this is taking away the space I need to develop that oak tree. So that's an observational error, and now this dark shape is attracting too much attention to the corner of the painting surface and therefore worsening the composition problems. So I'll have to tackle that at some stage as well. However, I'm quite happy with the bluish grey color I'm using here for the road. That may be one saving grace for the painting, to have some nice color in the foreground. Going into the distant colors in the background there, just getting those blocked in. To some credit, the paint and brushwork is still quite loose and I'm using a fair amount of paint, but now I'm pausing for a bit just to pre-mix a few colors. And this is also an opportunity for you to think and prepare. Now, getting in suggestions of the various foliage and etc., but running out of space. Not enough space for all of those details. So let's get in some of the shapes that I can see, just squint a little and try and put in a few. But I'm struggling with the focal point, and this is a problem. So I'm going to put a little bit of light around where I want the figure to go. Let's jump into this oak tree, get some color down, and see if that's going to help matters at all. But right now I have that cold feeling of dread, and it's decision time. Scrape off, start again, or press on. So I'm using strong verticals and color notes now as a solution. A nice sort of sweeter blue in the foreground as well, with the idea that these color notes will help and also improve the focal area by defining this figure a bit more. And that might help a little. Now these vertical lines are being used to connect and consolidate shapes, to add some structure, a little bit of definition, and to basically make sense of what's there. I'm also using pattern to add interest, so these shadow lines of interesting color may help to improve the overall appearance of the painting. Bring in some clean, strong color notes of light as they are hitting the tree trunks, adding broken color and strong impasto strokes as well. Now I'm really thinking about pattern. That's what I'm really doing. I can't create much distance in the scene, so I'm going to use clean color notes, tidy up. There's no excuse for muddy color. Clean color notes that give this pattern almost a feeling of a stained glass window. So that in itself is an idea to try and resolve this problem and make it an interesting surface of shapes and color. Clean color, like I said, strong color, also good impasto strokes, and looking for really an effect, a light effect, a play of color, and as I said, that stained glass window appearance to it to create something. A few final strokes for the power lines and telephone poles, and that's it. I'm going to finish off the painting. And although it's not perfect by any means, and I'm not suggesting it is an improvement, I think, on the start. I hope this video was helpful and gave you a few ideas and maybe inspired you to stick with it and solve that problem when you get stuck with your painting. There are so many things that can happen during the painting process, but if you take a moment, think about the things you've learned, and figure a solution out. But if you decide to abandon the painting, that is fine too. We all have many paintings that have just ended up in the bin. That's the way it is. But I do believe with some perseverance and some thought and just keeping calm, you can work your way through many problems, and that makes your painting stronger over the long run. And of course, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss another video. Alright, until next time, happy painting and cheers for now.